Hello, everybody. I'm Kim Sashio, and I am a distance education coordinator at the Skyline College CTTL. I would like to welcome you to day 8 of our accessibility challenge. Today, we'll be focusing on complex graphics. We all know that we need to provide instructional content in a variety of forms. So most of us use text and graphics, audio, video, a whole variety. However, we have to keep in mind that all of that instructional content needs to be accessible to assistive technologies. And earlier in this series, we talked about image alternative text, which is very brief, succinct, descriptive text that needs to be added to digital images so that it can be read by assistive technologies. When we've got very complex graphics, short alternative text is not going to be sufficient. And then in addition, the Americans with Disabilities Act Title II specifically requires text alternative for all non-text contents. But more importantly than simply complying with law, instructional content that is embedded into graphics can present a learning barrier for many of our students. So let's zoom back just a little bit and talk about disability status in the United States. More than 1 in 4 adults have some form of disability. 40% have attention deficit challenge of some kind. About 2% are autistic. About 20% have a learning disability. About 66% of us experience some form of age-related cognitive impairment. And if our Skyline population follows any of these trends, about 20% of your students have some sort of disability. Are you seeing that many accommodation letters for each one of your classes? You're probably not. And there could be a lot of reasons for that, but one of them is that requirements for accommodations are very stringent, and a lot of folks fall through the cracks. Let's look at what we really care about, supporting our students. Who benefits from text descriptions of complex graphics? Well, a very wide swath of your students. In your classes, you probably have folks who are colorblind so that they cannot see those visual cues that are embedded within many graphics. You probably have folks who are brand new to the discipline you're teaching, or maybe they simply have poor graphic literacy. You might have folks who have poor vision, but it's not bad enough to receive accommodations. Or even think about this, they're trying to use their mobile phone or access the content in your class. And it's very tough to get a good look at complex graphics on a tiny little screen. So rather than just continue to talk at you, I'm going to show you some examples of best practices for handling complex graphics. Here is a very complex graphic. Tiny little text is, almost impossible to read. So what I did for this was, for the image alternate text, all I did was identify it as who is the majority. The reason I chose to do that is it clearly states that below is an infographic outlining key data, and then it says that you can access a text version of this. So I'll click on that. And what I did was simply open that infographic on a larger monitor and blow it up, pulled the text out of it. I chose to use a simple bullet point format here. Looking back on it now, I wish that what I'd done is turn this into an accessible table. I think that probably would have been better. So this is another example from one of the courses we offer in our district, and it is a sample discussion post. In this case, the instructor who had worked on this page provided accessible content for us. So all we did here was add a link saying accessible version of discussion post image. Of course, we have alternate text that points people to this accessible version so they know it's coming. And then in this case, what they chose to do is, instead of using a Canvas page, they just put it on an open Google Docs. Nice and clear and clean. You can open this on your cell phone and read it, and it will be just fine. So I'm going to show you one more example now, and then we'll sign off. This is an incredibly complicated geology textbook. I've been working with these authors for quite some time, and they are really stepping up to the plate. And one of the things I suggested to them was, when possible, if they could describe their infographics within the page text, that will help students who can't see it, obviously. It'll also help folks who might have poor graphic literacy. So a student first will be able to read a description of the stages in the formation of nonconformity. They're referred to this figure. This description does provide the same content. So after they've read that, then they can, if they can see it, they can take a look at it and follow along, sort of. So this helps them break down and understand the information, and also hopefully helps them develop their graphic literacy skills. So that is the last example I'm going to share for you today. I hope that this little demonstration was helpful for you.